Welcome to Module 3, Managing Allergens in Food Production, part of HSQC's Food Allergy Awareness training. In this module, we will learn about the critical points in a food manufacturing environment, how to minimize the risk of food allergen incidents. In particular, we will seek to understand what allergen management procedures to follow when handling, storing, and producing food, hygiene, cleaning and safety standards to minimize the risk of cross-contamination of allergens, how to monitor and review appropriate allergen control systems. Managing allergens in food production. There are a lot of issues that need to be taken into consideration in the food production environment when it comes to managing allergens. This module looks at the critical points in a food manufacturing environment and how to minimize the risk of food allergen incidents. Objectives: understand what allergen management procedures to follow when handling, storing, and producing food. Understand hygiene, cleaning, and safety standards to minimize the risk of cross-contamination of allergens. Understand how to monitor and review appropriate allergen control systems. Staff training. All staff, including temporary staff and contractors, involved in handling ingredients, equipment, utensils, packaging, and final products should be aware of allergens. They should also be made aware that consuming allergens for someone who has a food allergy can have serious consequences. Appropriate procedures on the control of allergens should be available and/or visible in the reception and production areas so that staff and visitors are aware of them. Potential allergen cross-contamination situations. All staff must be trained in ways to prevent allergen cross-contamination of food if the factory handles one or more of the main 14 allergens on site. Cross-contamination occurs when an allergen is unintentionally incorporated into another food that is not intended to contain that allergen. Hand washing. To avoid allergen cross-contamination, staff should wash their hands frequently and effectively. Posters encouraging staff to wash their hands after working with allergenic ingredients and/or products should be placed in areas where allergenic products are manufactured. Text could include, "Always wash your hands thoroughly after coming into contact with allergenic products to avoid cross-contamination." Clothing and uniform requirements. To ensure that allergen cross-contamination from clothing and uniforms does not occur, staff working in an area manufacturing products containing allergens should wear designated clothing or uniform. This should be determined following a risk assessment carried out by the Food Business Operator, FBO. Rework. Rework refers to a product that has been recovered or rejected from normal production and has been subject to reprocessing. The term is often used when out-of-specification products are subject to further processing to ensure the specification requirements are met. Waste control. Care should be taken when disposing of allergenic ingredients and products. Allergens should be sealed in labelled containers and removed from the manufacturing area to avoid being mixed with non-allergenic ingredients and products. Cleaning procedures. Even very small amounts of allergens can cause serious reactions, including potentially fatal anaphylactic shock, so cleaning needs to be thorough and cleaning schedules maintained and records retained. Dedicated equipment. Some manufacturers might choose to dedicate a production line or equipment to products that are free from specific allergens, for example nut or wheat-free. These production lines can still be used to make other products as long as they do not contain that particular allergen and/or have not been cross-contaminated with this allergen. Dedicated equipment could include balances, sieves, packing machines, or storage bins. Allergens found in ingredients. Manufacturers need to be aware of the presence of the 14 major allergens found in Annex 2 of Regulation EU No. 1169/2011 in all ingredients. Allergens might be present in ingredients because they were intentionally added as an ingredient or processing aid, but also because allergen cross-contamination has unintentionally occurred. Cross-contamination can happen during the manufacturing and handling of ingredients, as well as earlier in the food chain, for example during harvesting and transport. Ingredient suppliers and their agents must be aware of the hazards arising from cross-contamination by allergens, so their products conform to the manufacturer's product specification. Ingredients should be fully described in product specifications. Ordering from suppliers. FBOs should have procedures in place to assess the presence of allergens in the ingredients they use. They should do the same for ingredients used by their suppliers. Manufacturers should check the specification sheets of ingredients and products when they are ordering from suppliers and when the products are delivered. This is to ensure products meet the specification required. They should also ask their suppliers appropriate questions. For example, what procedures do the suppliers have in place to prevent cross-contamination? What is the likelihood of cross-contamination for their products? What other products are produced on the same lines? Labelling of pre-packed food. When listing ingredients on pre-packed food, FBOs must emphasize the name of the allergens in the ingredients list. For example, tahini contains sesame seeds, which is one of the 14 main allergens. The ingredient label for the tahini must emphasize the presence of sesame seeds. Using bold letters is one option. The use of an allergen statement to signpost and explain how allergen information is emphasized within the ingredients list is permitted. For example, allergy advice. For allergens including cereals containing gluten, see ingredients in bold. Packaging. Incorrect packaging and/or labeling is a significant cause of allergen-related product recalls and can represent a significant cost to industry, for example in terms of returning or reprocessing products. Where possible, dedicated packing lines to reduce the risk of mislabeling should be considered. FBOs should have procedures in place to review and approve all proposed product labels for all food. For example, if a retailer contracts a separate company to pack products for them and provides labeling, the supplier of the labels should ensure the ingredients are correctly declared. This is to ensure the ingredients, including the main 14 allergens, are declared accurately and that they are updated with any change in the formulation of the product. To avoid allergen labeling errors, there should be a procedure for destroying old packaging and labels, and to maintain electronic document control of old labels when recipes and formulations have been changed. Design of packaging. When designing packaging, FBOs must consider the food information requirements for mandatory food allergen labeling, such as the minimum font size, the legibility, visibility, contrast of text, and accuracy. For example, the needs of consumers with visual impairments such as color blindness. Barcode scanners. If it is not possible to have dedicated packaging lines for allergenic products, then procedures for checking that the correct labels are applied to products should be implemented and audited regularly. This is to ensure that accurate information is provided to allergic consumers. Checks should be in place between processing and packing to ensure the correct packaging is used, for example by using barcode scanners to trace the product through the production process. Multi-pack products. Where products are sold in multi-packs, allergen information must be displayed on the outer packaging. If allergen information is also provided on the packaging of individual products, it must be consistent with the outer packaging. General cleaning. Very small amounts of allergens can cause adverse reactions, including potentially fatal anaphylactic shock. Therefore, thorough cleaning that is effective in reducing the risks of allergen cross-contamination should be carried out where required. To identify where allergens are a cross-contamination risk, the FBO should carry out a risk assessment. Some ingredients, for example powders, present significant cleaning problems as they can become airborne and contaminate areas of a factory. Relevant industry guidance, where this has been developed, should be followed. Adequate procedures must be in place for cleaning both production and packaging machinery. Swab testing. Cleaning practices that are satisfactory for hygiene purposes may not be adequate for removing allergens. To check that cleaning practices are effective at removing allergens, allergen residue or environmental swab testing can be used in conjunction with other allergen testing to validate the cleaning method. Efficacy of cleaning should be monitored regularly and revalidated if there are any changes. Compressed air cleaning. Care is needed to ensure that the cleaning of one manufacturing line does not contaminate another, using compressed air cleaning, for example, or an area that has already been cleaned by cleaning dry mix areas from the top down. On-the-spot cleaning for spillages. Any spillages that occur during production, storage and transportation should be cleaned up immediately to ensure that there is no subsequent allergen cross-contamination. Where known allergen contamination has occurred, the contaminated material should be labelled and physically moved away from the non-contaminated ingredients and work in progress. Dismantling equipment. Equipment might need to be dismantled and manually cleaned to ensure hard-to-reach areas are free from allergen residues. At this point, consideration should be given to maintenance activities, such as the use of dedicated cleaning equipment or adequate cleaning procedures where equipment is not dedicated. Storage area. To avoid cross-contamination, steps should be taken to ensure that allergens do not come into contact with other ingredients, including other allergens, during handling and storage. Allergenic ingredients should be stored in clearly identified areas, for example, using color-coded boxes or the demarcation of storage areas using painted lines on the floor. Storage containers. Where allergenic ingredients are removed from their original packaging, they should, if possible, be placed in dedicated lidded and labelled food-grade, pest-proof containers and made easily identifiable. Such containers should not be used for storage of any other ingredients. If an allergenic ingredient is in a form that can easily become airborne, for example powder, it is advised to not remove it from its packaging until ready to use. For example, a bag of powdered nuts, spices or cereal flour. Monitoring and review. Allergen management needs to be considered as part of the FBO's Food Safety Management System, which can include the FBO HACCP plan. This is everything from managing supplier information to managing the information provided to customers. Allergen management systems should be validated, monitored and reviewed to provide assurance that they are working correctly. This is done most effectively by an audit or health check of the system. In addition to routine checks on manufacturing operations, a periodic health check can find any weaknesses in the system so that corrective action can be taken. A key benefit of auditing the system is to provide evidence of due diligence to managing allergens. Withdrawals and recalls. A withdrawal is when unsafe food is removed from the supply chain before it has reached consumers. A recall is when unsafe food which may have reached the final consumer is removed from the supply chain and consumers are advised of the reason for the recall and to take appropriate action, for example, to return or dispose of the unsafe food.